What if the darkness hiding just beyond your headlights isn't empty at all? What if, on the loneliest highways and in the most remote corners of the American Southwest, something ancient and malevolent is watching, waiting to reveal itself in ways that defy logic, science, and even your deepest nightmares? Tonight we dive headfirst into the chilling resurgence of the Skinwalker legend, a force so terrifying, so disturbingly real, that hundreds of modern witnesses have risked ridicule to share their encounters. These are not just stories. These are warnings, echoing from sacred Navajo tradition to viral videos that have captivated millions and left countless others afraid to travel after dark. You'll hear accounts of shapeshifters stalking the roads, of radios dying and headlights flickering as something inhuman sprints alongside your car. Witnesses describe glowing eyes, impossible transformations, and an overwhelming sense that reality itself is unraveling. The line between myth and truth is thinner than you think, and by the end of this video, you may never feel safe alone at night again. But before we unlock these secrets, I need to ask you something important. Most people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you crave the truth behind the world's darkest mysteries, if you want to be the first to know what others are too afraid to discuss, hit that subscribe button now. Don't risk missing the next revelation that could change everything you think you know about fear. Stay with us. What you're about to discover will haunt you long after the screen goes dark. In recent years, the ancient Navajo legend of the Skinwalker has resurfaced with a disturbing intensity, captivating audiences far beyond the American Southwest. Once a closely guarded element of indigenous tradition, the Skinwalker, known in Navajo as Yi-Naldlushi, has become a global phenomenon, fueled by viral social media posts, chilling YouTube documentaries, and a surge in reported modern Skinwalker encounters. These stories, blending real-life horror and unexplained phenomena, have reignited public fascination and debate about what truly lurks in the remote deserts and highways of the United States. The cultural origins of the Skinwalker legend are deeply rooted in Navajo beliefs, where these entities are considered malevolent witches capable of shape-shifting into animals or even possessing them. Traditionally, these stories were shared only within the community, partly due to cultural taboos and the risk of misinterpretation by outsiders. However, the digital age has transformed this sacred narrative into a subject of global curiosity and fear, as more individuals come forward with their own disturbing experiences, often documented in detail. The line between folklore and reality becomes increasingly blurred. While the legend of the Skinwalker has been part of Navajo oral tradition for generations, its leap into the digital age has changed the way these stories are shared and perceived. The viral spread of alleged Skinwalker encounters on platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit has brought the phenomenon to a global audience, sparking both fascination and controversy. This new wave of attention has led to a surge in reported sightings, with people from diverse backgrounds describing encounters that echo the core elements of the original Navajo accounts: shape-shifting, unnatural movement, and a pervasive sense of dread. The hashtag #DerSkinwalker alone has amassed hundreds of millions of views, illustrating the public's appetite for real-life horror stories and unexplained phenomena. One of the most widely discussed modern encounters occurred in Arizona in 2024, when a group of hunters captured video footage of a large, humanoid figure with disproportionately long arms moving through the desert. The footage, aired on the Travel Channel, shows the witnesses reacting with shock and fear as the figure moves with an unnatural gait. The lead witness, TJ, later described the entity as standing nearly 7 feet tall, with features that seemed both human and disturbingly inhuman. Encounters like this, amplified by television and social media, have contributed to the growing mythology surrounding skinwalkers, blurring the line between folklore and contemporary reality. Roadside encounters have become a defining feature of modern skinwalker reports. often involving lone drivers on desolate highways across the American Southwest. In one of the most unsettling cases, a military service member described an incident on Route 491, formerly known as Route 666. While driving late at night, he noticed a figure on the shoulder of the road, a person with long black hair draped in what looked like a poncho. As he drew closer, his car radio abruptly cut out, and the figure raised an arm as if trying to flag him down. Choosing not to stop, he continued driving, only to see the same figure appear again further down the road, this time sprinting after his vehicle at an unnatural speed. The witness reported that the figure seemed to transform into an animal, keeping pace with the car before vanishing into the darkness. When the entity disappeared, the radio resumed working, leaving the service member shaken and questioning what he had witnessed. Similar stories have emerged from the Navajo reservation, where encounters often carry a deeper sense of dread due to the legend's cultural roots. One account involved siblings driving late at night who saw an elderly woman walking along the highway. Minutes later, on a remote dirt road, they encountered what appeared to be the same woman in a location she could not possibly have reached on foot. As their car stalled inexplicably, the woman crossed in front of them, revealing a face painted entirely black before disappearing into the night. These details, impossible movement, electronic interference, and disturbing physical features are consistent with countless modern skinwalker encounters, reinforcing the legend's grip on those who experience it firsthand. Skinwalker Ranch, located in Uinta County, Utah, has become the most infamous hotspot for unexplained phenomena linked to the Skinwalker legend. The property first drew national attention in the 1990s when the Sherman family reported a series of disturbing events during their short time living there. Among the most chilling incidents was an encounter with an abnormally large wolf with glowing red eyes which appeared impervious to gunfire. The Shermans also documented cattle mutilations, mysterious lights, crop circles, and frequent sightings of unidentified flying objects. Their experiences were so traumatic that they sold the ranch to Robert Bigelow, a billionaire with a keen interest in the paranormal, who established the National Institute for Discovery Science to investigate the ongoing activity. Since then, Skinwalker Ranch has remained under tight security and has been the focus of numerous scientific and media investigations. The History Channel's series, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, has brought these real-life horror stories to a wider audience, documenting strange occurrences such as electronic interference, sudden temperature drops, and sightings of humanoid figures with glowing eyes. Despite the efforts of scientists and investigators, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to explain the phenomena. Skeptics argue that the events are either fabrications or misinterpretations, while believers maintain that the ranch is a focal point for supernatural activity rooted in the Navajo legend of the Skinwalker. Across hundreds of modern Skinwalker encounters, certain details appear with striking regularity. Witnesses frequently describe entities with glowing eyes, usually red or yellow, that seem to reflect even the faintest light in total darkness. Reports often mention unnaturally tall figures, with elongated limbs and a disturbing ability to move in ways that defy human anatomy. Many claim to have seen these beings shift shape, transforming from a person into an animal or vice versa, sometimes in a matter of seconds. These transformation abilities, paired with unnatural speed and movement, are central to the most unsettling real-life horror stories circulating online and in local communities. Electronic interference is another recurring theme in these unexplained phenomena. Drivers report radios suddenly cutting out, headlights flickering, and even cell phones losing signal at the exact moment a skinwalker is sighted. Sudden drops in temperature, strange animal behavior, and eerie silences often accompany these encounters. The rise of social media platforms like TikTok has amplified these stories. with hashtags like #OneSkinwalker and #ModernSkinwalker encounters accumulating hundreds of millions of views. This digital amplification has brought the legend into mainstream consciousness, but it has also raised concerns among indigenous communities about the misrepresentation and trivialization of sacred beliefs. Despite decades of investigation and numerous televised expeditions, no definitive physical evidence has been produced to confirm the existence of skinwalkers or to explain the phenomena reported at places like Skinwalker Ranch. Scientific teams, including those funded by billionaire Robert Bigelow, have monitored the ranch for years, employing advanced equipment to capture any sign of unexplained phenomena. Yet, the results have been inconclusive, with skeptics arguing that the events are more likely the product of misinterpretation, psychological suggestion, or deliberate fabrication. Some researchers have even pointed out that previous owners of the ranch reported no supernatural activity during their decades-long residency, raising further doubts about the more sensational accounts. At the same time, the persistence and consistency of modern skinwalker encounters, often echoing the traditional elements of the Navajo legend, suggest that something significant is happening, whether psychological, cultural, or otherwise. The tension between scientific skepticism and the enduring power of indigenous beliefs has become a defining feature of the skinwalker phenomenon in the digital age. As stories continue to spread through social media, documentaries, and amateur investigations, the legend's influence grows, blurring the boundaries between ancient tradition, real-life horror stories, and contemporary myth-making. This ongoing fascination ensures that the skinwalker will remain a source of fear, curiosity, and debate for years to come. The rise of social media has dramatically transformed the skinwalker legend, turning an ancient, culturally sensitive belief into a viral sensation. Platforms like TikTok have played a major role in this shift, with the hashtag #Skinwalker surpassing hundreds of millions of views and sparking a wave of user-generated content. Some indigenous creators use these platforms to share authentic warnings and cultural context, cautioning followers never to whistle at night or trivialize these entities. Others, however, express concern about the way sacred traditions are being appropriated and sensationalized for entertainment, often stripped of their original meaning. This tension between cultural preservation and global fascination highlights the complex legacy of the Navajo legend in the digital age. Meanwhile, the ongoing scientific investigation of places like Skinwalker Ranch has fueled both belief and skepticism. Despite decades of monitoring with advanced technology, researchers have found no definitive physical evidence to support the existence of skinwalkers or the unexplained phenomena reported by witnesses. Skeptics argue that many of the stories are products of suggestion, fear, or deliberate fabrication. Some point out that previous owners of Skinwalker Ranch lived there for decades without experiencing anything unusual, suggesting that more recent accounts may be influenced by media attention and financial interests. Still, the consistency of modern skinwalker encounters, their alignment with traditional elements, and the emotional impact on witnesses ensure that the legend remains a powerful force in contemporary culture. Among the most chilling real-life horror stories are those involving skinwalkers stalking isolated homes or vehicles at night. Witnesses have reported hearing knocks on windows, footsteps circling their trailers, and even discovering footprints in the dirt. Some human, others animalistic or crawling on all fours. These unexplained phenomena often leave victims gripped by fear, prompting them to barricade themselves indoors until daylight. In one documented case, a pair of friends spent a sleepless night after seeing shadowy figures pacing outside their trailer. The next morning, they found a ring of footprints, some disturbingly human, others spaced as if a person had crawled on hands and feet surrounding their temporary home. Such encounters reinforce the belief that skinwalkers are neither fully human nor animal, but something that exists in the unsettling space between. Encounters on remote roads are equally harrowing, with drivers describing figures that appear suddenly, sometimes keeping pace with vehicles or darting into the headlights before vanishing. One service member recounted seeing a dark, human-shaped entity crouched between trees, its limbs bent at unnatural angles, watching as he passed by. In another incident, a driver noticed a figure bounding at an impossible speed in his rearview mirror, half hunched and covered in black fur, its pale face briefly illuminated by a flickering streetlight before disappearing into the night. These stories, often shared in hushed tones within indigenous communities, echo the core elements of the Navajo legend: transformation, mimicry, and a relentless, predatory presence that seems to blur the line between myth and reality. The surge in digital interest has inspired a new generation of amateur investigators to seek out skinwalker hotspots, hoping to capture unexplained phenomena firsthand. Many of these explorations are documented on YouTube and TikTok, where groups venture into remote areas, often at night, equipped with cameras and audio recorders. Their videos typically blend genuine curiosity with elements of entertainment, as investigators recount local legends, share their own fears, and react to strange sounds or fleeting shadows in the darkness. While some encounters are dismissed as misidentifications or pranks, others capture unexplained events that fuel further speculation and debate among viewers. This wave of grassroots investigation has contributed to the legend's continued evolution, making skinwalker stories more accessible and interactive than ever before. At the same time, the blending of sacred tradition with viral content has sparked ongoing debate within indigenous communities and among cultural critics. Some indigenous creators use their platforms to educate audiences about the deeper meaning behind the legend, warning against disrespectful or sensationalized portrayals. Others express concern that the proliferation of skinwalker content online risks trivializing or distorting beliefs that were once protected by strict cultural taboos. The result is a complex and sometimes uneasy coexistence between the desire for authentic storytelling and the pressures of internet fame, as the ancient legend adapts to the demands of a global, digital audience. For many who claim to have encountered a skinwalker, the psychological aftermath can be as disturbing as the event itself. Nightmares, persistent anxiety, and a lingering sense of being watched are common themes in personal testimonies. Some witnesses describe an inability to return to the places where their encounters occurred, haunted by the memory of glowing eyes or the sound of footsteps circling their home at night. Even those who grew up hearing the legends admit that a single experience can reshape their relationship with the land, transforming familiar roads and deserts into places of unease. This enduring fear is not easily dismissed, especially in communities where the legend is woven into everyday life. The collective nature of these stories also amplifies their impact. In many indigenous communities, sharing a skinwalker encounter is both a warning and a way to process trauma. The retelling of these events reinforces cultural boundaries, reminding listeners of taboos, protective rituals, and the importance of respecting the unknown. At the same time, the viral spread of these stories online has created a new kind of folklore, where each retelling adds details and emotional weight. The result is a phenomenon that blurs the line between personal experience and collective myth, ensuring that the fear of skinwalkers remains a powerful force in both traditional and digital communities. Cultural and psychological explanations have become increasingly important in understanding why skinwalker encounters persist in the modern era. Some researchers suggest that these experiences may be shaped by the powerful influence of cultural beliefs and the human tendency to interpret ambiguous stimuli as something supernatural, especially in isolated or high-stress environments. The fear and uncertainty that come with being alone at night in remote areas can heighten the senses, making ordinary events seem extraordinary. For communities where the Skinwalker legend is deeply rooted, these stories serve as cautionary tales, reinforcing social boundaries and respect for the unknown. Despite the skepticism of the scientific community and the lack of concrete physical evidence, the legend endures, fueled by the emotional impact of personal testimonies and the viral nature of digital storytelling. The persistence and consistency of modern Skinwalker reports, often echoing traditional elements of the Navajo legend, suggests that the phenomenon taps into universal fears and a collective fascination with the unexplained. Whether interpreted as supernatural encounters, psychological responses, or cultural expressions, these stories continue to captivate and unsettle, ensuring that the legend of the Skinwalker remains a powerful force in both indigenous and mainstream culture. Media coverage has played a significant role in shaping public perception of the Skinwalker phenomenon. Television programs, podcasts, and online documentaries have brought the legend to a global audience, often focusing on dramatic witness accounts and mysterious footage. Shows like The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch have turned real-life horror stories into serialized entertainment, blending genuine testimony with suspenseful editing to keep viewers engaged. This exposure has not only amplified the legend, but also attracted a new wave of amateur investigators and skeptics, eager to explore the boundaries between myth and reality. Despite the skepticism voiced by scientists and rationalists, the persistence of Skinwalker encounters suggests that the phenomenon fulfills a deeper psychological or cultural need. For some, these stories offer a way to process unexplained events or personal trauma, while for others, they serve as a warning to respect boundaries, both physical and spiritual. The legend's ability to adapt to new media and societal changes ensures its survival, even as the debate over its authenticity continues. Whether regarded as supernatural beings, misunderstood animals, or powerful symbols of fear, Skinwalkers remain embedded in the collective consciousness, their presence felt in both whispered warnings and viral videos. Despite the growing number of reported encounters and the intense interest from both the public and amateur investigators, the scientific community remains unconvinced about the literal existence of Skinwalkers. Decades of research and monitoring at hotspots like Skinwalker Ranch have failed to produce any conclusive physical evidence. Investigators have used everything from surveillance cameras to environmental sensors, yet the phenomena remain elusive, often limited to eyewitness accounts and unexplained anomalies. This lack of tangible proof has led many skeptics to suggest that the stories may be shaped by psychological suggestion, cultural influence, or even deliberate fabrication, especially in cases where financial or media attention is involved. Anthropologists and psychologists offer alternative explanations, pointing to the powerful role of belief, fear, and cultural storytelling in shaping these experiences. In communities where the legend is deeply rooted, the expectation of encountering something supernatural can heighten the senses and influence perception, especially in isolated or stressful situations. For some, these encounters serve as a way to reinforce social boundaries and pass down warnings about the unknown. For others, they become a means of processing trauma or making sense of inexplicable events. Regardless of the explanation, the persistence and consistency of modern Skinwalker reports continue to fuel debate, ensuring that the legend remains a compelling and unsettling part of contemporary culture. The enduring fascination with Skinwalkers highlights the complex intersection of ancient tradition and modern curiosity. As the legend continues to evolve, it remains deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of indigenous communities, serving as both a warning and a source of identity. For many, these stories are not just entertainment, but a vital reminder of boundaries between the natural and supernatural, the known and the unknown. The persistence of these encounters, especially in the digital age, underscores how powerful and adaptable the legend has become. shaping perceptions and sparking debate far beyond its original context. At the same time, the global spread of Skinwalker stories through social media, television, and online forums has created new challenges. The line between respectful cultural understanding and sensationalized entertainment is often blurred, raising important questions about appropriation and authenticity. While some see the legend's popularity as an opportunity for education and cultural exchange, others worry that it risks trivializing beliefs that were once protected by secrecy and respect. This ongoing tension ensures that the Skinwalker phenomenon will remain a subject of fascination, fear, and controversy for years to come. Modern encounters with Skinwalkers reveal a striking blend of ancient tradition and contemporary myth-making. Despite ongoing skepticism from the scientific community, the persistence and consistency of these reports suggest that the phenomenon taps into something fundamental about human nature, a need to explain the unexplainable, to give shape to fear, and to maintain boundaries between the known and the unknown. The continuity of core elements, shape-shifting, glowing eyes, unnatural movement, and electronic disturbances across decades and technological eras underscores the enduring power of the legend. The digital age has only intensified this fascination. Social media platforms have transformed the Skinwalker from a figure shrouded in cultural secrecy to a viral symbol of real-life horror and unexplained phenomena. Each new post, video, or investigation adds another layer to the legend, making it both more accessible and more controversial. For some, these stories serve as a warning and a way to reinforce cultural identity. For others, they are a source of entertainment and speculation. This duality ensures that the legend of the Skinwalker will remain a living, evolving force, one that continues to unsettle, inspire, and provoke debate in both indigenous communities and the wider world. The legend of the Skinwalker, once a closely guarded and sacred element of Navajo tradition, has become a global phenomenon in the digital age. Reports of modern encounters have surged, with stories circulating across social media platforms, television, and online communities. These accounts often describe tall, humanoid figures with glowing eyes and unnaturally long limbs, moving in ways that defy human anatomy. Witnesses frequently mention sudden electronic interference, radios cutting out, headlights flickering, or cell phones losing signal at the exact moment of an encounter. Many of these stories take place on remote highways or near Navajo lands, where the sense of isolation amplifies the fear and uncertainty. One of the most widely discussed incidents occurred in Arizona, where hunters captured video footage of a large, disproportionate figure moving quickly through the desert. Their shock and alarm, captured on camera, reflect a common reaction among those who believe they have encountered a skinwalker. Roadside sightings are especially prevalent, with drivers describing figures that appear out of nowhere, sometimes keeping pace with moving vehicles or transforming into animals before vanishing into the night. These experiences, often accompanied by unexplained environmental changes or animal behavior, reinforce the legend's grip on those who witness them firsthand. The continuity of the Skinwalker legend, from ancient Navajo tradition to modern viral phenomenon, reveals how enduring and adaptable these stories are. Despite the taboo around sharing details with outsiders, the core elements, shape-shifting glowing eyes, and a sense of predatory intelligence remain consistent across generations. Modern reports echo the same chilling details described in older oral traditions, even as they now spread through TikTok, YouTube, and online forums. This persistence suggests that the legend fulfills a deep psychological and cultural role, offering explanations for the unexplainable and reinforcing boundaries between the known and the unknown. At the same time, the growing popularity of Skinwalker stories has led to increased scrutiny and skepticism. Scientists investigating places like Skinwalker Ranch have yet to find concrete evidence of supernatural activity, often attributing sightings to psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or deliberate fabrication. Yet the emotional intensity and consistency of witness accounts keep the debate alive. The legend's transformation in the digital age, where sacred beliefs become entertainment and cautionary tales become memes, raises important questions about cultural respect, appropriation, and the power of storytelling in shaping collective fears. Modern Skinwalker reports consistently highlight a set of distinctive and unsettling characteristics. Witnesses often describe seeing figures with glowing eyes, usually red or yellow, standing out in the darkness, their gaze reflecting even the faintest light. These entities are frequently reported as being unusually tall, with limbs that seem too long for their bodies and movements that defy normal human anatomy. The ability to transform between human and animal forms, or to possess animals, is a recurring theme, as is the tendency for these beings to move with unnatural speed or in ways that appear physically impossible. These details, echoed across countless testimonies, reinforce the sense that skinwalkers occupy a space between the familiar and the profoundly unknown. The rise of amateur investigators has added a new dimension to the legend. Drawn by viral stories and the promise of capturing something extraordinary, groups now venture into remote areas armed with cameras and recording equipment, hoping to document their own encounters. Their explorations, often shared on YouTube or social media, blend genuine curiosity with a sense of performance as they react to unexplained sounds, fleeting shadows, or sudden drops in temperature. While skeptics argue that many of these experiences can be explained by environmental factors or psychological suggestion, the emotional impact on participants is undeniable. Many describe lingering fear, nightmares, and an altered sense of safety long after their investigations have ended, underscoring the powerful psychological effect the Skinwalker legend continues to exert. One of the most unsettling modern encounters took place near Gallup, New Mexico, in 2004. A witness, initially skeptical of the stories he'd heard growing up, found himself face to face with something he could not explain. While out in a field, he saw two dogs standing upright, fighting each other. As he prepared to scare them off, both animals stopped, turned, and ran away on their hind legs. In that instant, every legend he'd dismissed as childhood folklore became terrifyingly real. This type of encounter, where entities are neither fully human nor fully animal and move in ways that defy natural explanation, is a recurring theme in modern Skinwalker reports. Other contemporary accounts echo similar patterns. Drivers on remote highways in the American Southwest often describe seeing lone figures walking along the road late at night, only for their electronics to malfunction, or for the same figure to appear again miles ahead. In some cases, witnesses report the figure suddenly sprinting after their vehicle at unnatural speeds, sometimes shifting shape or vanishing altogether. Campers in isolated areas tell of hearing footsteps circling their tents, glimpsing glowing eyes in the darkness, or finding inexplicable footprints the next morning. These stories, consistent in their details and emotional impact, reinforce the sense that the Skinwalker legend is not only surviving in the digital age, but evolving, fueled by both traditional fears and the amplifying power of modern media. Some of the most memorable modern Skinwalker encounters come from people who had always dismissed the legend as superstition until they experienced something they couldn't explain. In one case, a family driving late at night on a remote highway near the Navajo Nation was suddenly overtaken by a feeling of dread. Their headlights caught a figure on the shoulder of the road, unnaturally tall, with limbs too long for its body and eyes that glowed yellow in the darkness. As they passed, the car's radio died and the engine sputtered, leaving them in silence. The figure then appeared ahead of them again, moving at an impossible speed. when they finally reached safety. The father placed a traditional protective charm by the door, and for weeks afterward, the family avoided traveling at night, haunted by the memory of those glowing eyes. Other witnesses describe encounters that blend the supernatural with the psychological. Campers have reported hearing gibbering voices and laughter outside their tents, only to discover strange footprints circling their campsite at dawn. Some human, others animal, and some that seem to crawl on all fours. In several cases, individuals have described seeing a familiar person or hearing a loved one's voice calling from the darkness, only to realize something was off. The voice was distorted, the movements unnatural, and the presence felt predatory. These experiences leave a lasting mark, with many witnesses admitting they struggle to sleep, avoid certain roads, or refuse to speak about what happened for fear of drawing the entity's attention again. The persistence of these stories and the emotional response they provoke show how the legend of the Skinwalker continues to evolve and unsettle in the modern world. Ultimately, the modern resurgence of Skinwalker encounters demonstrates how ancient legends can adapt and thrive in a rapidly changing world. The stories circulating today, whether told in hushed voices on reservations, shared through viral TikTok videos, or investigated on YouTube, reflect a deep human need to grapple with the unknown. For some, these accounts are a warning to respect boundaries, both cultural and supernatural. For others, they are a source of entertainment and speculation, amplified by the reach of social media and the allure of the unexplained. Despite decades of scientific investigation and skepticism, the legend of the Skinwalker endures, fueled by consistent witness reports, cultural memory, and the emotional power of fear. Whether interpreted as supernatural beings, misunderstood animals, psychological phenomena, or cultural archetypes, skinwalkers remain a potent symbol of mystery and unease. As the digital age continues to blur the lines between folklore and reality, the legend's grip on the public imagination shows no sign of fading. The American Southwest and the internet will likely echo with unsettling stories of skinwalkers for generations to come. What do you believe? Are skinwalkers just ancient legends, or is there something truly unexplainable lurking in the darkness? Have you ever experienced anything you can't rationally explain? Or do you think it's all just fear and folklore? Share your thoughts or your own stories in the comments below. I want to know what keeps you up at night. If you found this video disturbing or thought-provoking, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. That's the only way to guarantee you won't miss the next story that could change the way you see the world forever. And don't go anywhere. The next recommended video on your screen will take you even deeper into the world's most chilling mysteries. Click it now if you dare. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack.